Alright, what's going on YouTube? So today I'm just going to be making a video of my 20-gallon soon-to-be quarantine tank here. This is just leftover bits and pieces of my friend's 20-gallon reef. That's going to be a quarantine for a little bit, and then once I get all the fish I want, they're doing good in my tank, and I'm not really going to get any more delicate fish, then I'm probably going to turn it into a seahorse tank and breed seahorses. So right now I have this tank in my closet in my apartment. It's very secluded, out of the way. It doesn't look like I'm a fish tank freak, and tanks all over the place, so it's kind of a perfect little spot. So now I have some concerns when setting up this tank. First of all, I'm setting up this tank for the purpose of a delicate tang I desire to get. It's going to be an Achilles tang and or a powder blue tang, maybe an angelfish. Not really sure about the angels because they pick at coral. Few do. So basically what I've gotten from my research on YouTube, and again, my channel's not really to inform anybody, it's kind of a learning experience. I post these videos to kind of get feedback, see people that are going through the same thing that I am. So yeah, because I do all my research on YouTube, so I'm not like trying to teach anybody anything. But anyways, I have some concerns when setting up this quarantine tank. I've looked at a lot of Mile High Reefers videos, and he voices a lot of really good concerns, the same concerns I've always had. You know, I've done this a long time, and a quarantine tank in the beginning when I first wanted to do it, it just didn't seem that like it made sense. You want this fish to be perfectly healthy and its immune system to be good and stress free, and you're gonna stick it in a tank with no biological filtration, no hiding spots, no natural habitat, in a small tank, and expect it to do amazing and, you know, kill off all the parasites. It just like it's very contradicting. So what I've always done, I've never had a quarantine tank. What I've always done is try to find the most healthy fish, stick it in my tank, and feed it, you know, a ton of food with garlic and some, you know, just a bunch of different like medicated foods, and just make sure that they're the healthiest possible. And I've pretty much gotten away with it. I think the only fish I've ever had die from ick was a powder blue, which, you know, of course, right? And that's a funny story because I had a Selfin tang and a powder blue tang. I just put them in my 40-gallon breeder. Well, the powder blue tang did good for about 2 weeks. He had ick like the day after I put him in the tank, and it's a new tank. It didn't have any like previous ick or nothing, and it came from a medicated system. I put the tang in my tank. I fed him a ton of food, ton of garlic, ton of this, ton of that. Water parameters are perfect, and the ick died off, and he was good for about a week. And then all of a sudden, one day, I turned on the lights and I looked at the tank, and he was covered, and he was freaking out, you know, swimming all over the tank, and he died that day, you know, out of nowhere. And then I fed the Selfin tang over and over again, and he was ick free. You know, I never medicated the tank. I never did anything but just feed him a ton of food. Then I got a blue tang about a month later, and put them both in there, fed them a ton of food, and I never saw ick again. So I guess if their immune system is strong enough, they can just keep fighting off that ick and never get it. So, you know, that brings you to, oh man, should I put this fish in my tank, you know, and should I spend $300 on a fish and stick it right in my tank and just hope that he lives and just feed him a ton of food? But then, you know, you risk the lives of all your other delicate fish. Like, what if their immune systems aren't good, and then you know, they die? So again, just very contradicting. So, but I'm gonna give this quarantine tank a try, and basically what I've gotten from YouTube videos is that you don't want the tank to cycle. You want to put minimal stuff in there, and you just want to do a ton of water changes. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this tank up. I'm gonna get rid of that rock, all that shit that's in there. I'm just, messing around right now, but basically put some PVC pipe in there, maybe a little bubble filter, a lot of water flow. I'm gonna get a little ammonia thing, a CCAM ammonia thing, where it tells you if there's any ammonia spike, because that's the first sign of this nitrogen cycle. And basically, I'm gonna fill this 30, 40 gallon trash can up with fresh salt water, and every day I'm just gonna take out maybe a gallon, maybe 2 gallons, and then replenish the water, just constantly replenishing the water. Keep the parameters the same, and just do that over and over again. Get some ammonia detoxifiers and try to keep the ammonia down. But then another contradiction is you want to feed this fish a lot. You want to get an Achilles tang. You want to feed them a ton of seaweed, a ton of pellets, so their immune system's good. But then, how do you expect not to raise the ammonia out of all that? So, again, this is definitely going to be a challenge. There's no easy way around this. There's no oh, this is how quarantine's done. It's 100% bulletproof. There's none of that. It's up to your discretion. It's just a nasty. You're putting copper in a tank. It's going to be challenging, especially investing money into a very expensive fish, and then you don't even know what's going to happen when you put them in your tank. But anyway, I'm gonna do this, try to manage a quarantine tank, keep this fish in here, depending on how it does, for 2-3 weeks. Definitely an Achilles tank I'm looking at, maybe powder blue. I just might be impulsive and buy, some other tank at the store. I don't know yet. There is a refugium down here that was previously set up on the tank. Really no light down there, but it's just a 10-gallon refugium. There's a reactor, previously that was there. AI Prime, like I said, this is going to be, a different setup later along the lines. But, yeah, those are my concerns. Again, Mile High Reefer, subscribe to him. He's pretty awesome with covering some things. But, yeah, I mean, I'm going to try it out. Let's go take a look at the 150 gallon. Everyone's doing good right now. See, in this guy's videos, he talks about, ick never being in your system. And this was all dry sand, dry rock. The prior fish came from a tank that was set up with dry rock and dry sand also, and never had ick ever, not even the smallest sign of ick. So that's all the contents of this tank. And I've added these other 2 tanks from Petco. They had just come in, they had been there for about a week, and they just looked really healthy, before Petco's, neglect got to them. So I decided to pick them up, acclimated them, put them right in the tank, and just started giving them seaweed, and they're just super, super pudgy right now. I've been feeding them a ton of pellets, a ton of, everything. I mean, as you can see, the skimmer is nasty. That's like a week's worth of a newly set up tank. I think that is a lot of skimmate. So, but there's no signs of ick on these guys at all. And I know that they're a hardier tang, whatever. Yeah, the 2 yellow tangs here, it seems that the 2 smaller ones are aggressive toward each other, but the big one isn't aggressive with them, and the little ones aren't aggressive with him. I guess it's because they're the same shape, so they're, kind of threatened by each other, but this one is the dominant one. He stays by the seaweed. He says, that's my food, it's nobody else's. And he just kind of doesn't really come near him. They have boundaries. He doesn't really, stepping outside the boundary zone. He's got his back turned, doesn't know. Oh. He's like, that's my food. But he stays fat though. He's definitely getting food. I don't know if you can see their stomachs, but they're just ridiculously fat. See all that pudge? His little body can't handle it. So they look really healthy. Just constant supply of seaweed. That seaweed clip is always there. It's always got fresh seaweed on it. If there's any left by the end of the night, I take it out of the tank, throw it away. Seaweed's not expensive at all. Just a little bit in the clip every day, and just to ensure your fish are healthy. Everything else is doing good. I just moved the toadstool up here, kind of moved that rock around. I'm starting to get some diatoms. The sand, the diamond gobies, doing a really good job turning over the sand. There's a little bit growing on this new rock, but you really can't notice it with the camera. But I would definitely have to say that my refugium is definitely out competing the tank for algae, and you know my skimmer's definitely helping a lot. But if we look down here, the glass is just covered in algae, and it's good algae. It's nice green algae. You can't really see it on the camera again, but it's covered in algae. And the Chaeto seems like it's already taken off growing. It turned from a kind of translucent brown to a really dark, good green, and it's just, you know, really taking over. You know, I got that 1 cubic foot of Marine Pure in there. That's really helping. I change the filter sock every day since that goby is just kicking up sand non-stop, it seems like. Oh, and correction, in one of my videos I said that these were acans. They're actually Favia. The previous owner let me know that, so. But yeah, that's my plan so far. That's my update. If you guys have any suggestions about this this whole quarantine setup, you know, this is the best solution I've come up with, is to set this quarantine tank up with basically nothing, and just do water changes constantly, over and over and over again. Medicate, you know, if there's ick, and then just constantly feed the fish. So, you know, wish me luck on that. That's still further down the line. I want to let this tank kind of get used to itself. It's still new. I just kind of like threw all this stuff into this tank at once, so I'm just going to give it time to get settled in. And then maybe in a month or two, I'll look toward in a Chili's tank, dash powder blue, whatever I decide to get. So that's it today. Happy reefing. Subscribe, like, comment. Thanks.